Radio, bringing you programs that offer you an in-depth look at the issues that affect you. Radio, your eye on South Sudan.
The Dawn on iRadio.
Right, a very good morning to you and welcome to the second half of the Dawn program here on our radio, live broadcast from the capital, Juba. I'm your host, Emmanuel Joseph Akile, and it's Friday, the 31st of October 2025, coming to 14 minutes now after the hour of 7. Now let's talk about the ongoing 5th South Sudan National Conference on Women, Peace and Security, which kicked off in Juba yesterday under the theme Restoring Hope and Commitment for Action, Advancing Women's Role in Peace Building. Now, despite years of effort, the promise of women, peace and security agenda in South Sudan remains largely unfulfilled. Ongoing conflict and instability have also undermined gender provisions in peace agreements, fueled rising cases of gender-based violence, and continue to marginalize women's voices in peace-building processes. Now, this year's conference, marking the 25th anniversary of the UN Security Council Resolution 1325, brings together women leaders, civil society representatives, government officials, and international partners to reflect on progress, address persistent challenges, and renew commitments to advancing women's leadership in peace and security. So let's listen first to Gloria Nyoka, co-founder of EVE Organization and executive director of South Sudan National Bureau of Standards. She called on women to stand for peace and reconciliation.
I would like to take this opportunity to extend our gratitude to the Kingdom of the Netherlands for their journey with us for the past 5 years, as well as other partners who join along the way, such as UNMISS, UN Women, Safer World, and Christian Aid, and others. As the world commemorates the 25th anniversary of UNHCR 1325, South Sudanese women continue to face a dominating reality, recurring armed conflicts, backlash against their meaningful participation, the compounded threats of GBV, forced displacement, climate change, and poverty. All these challenges the implementation of the Women Peace Security Agenda in South Sudan. For the past 4 years, EVE Organization and its esteemed partners have been at the forefront of advancing the Women Peace and Security Agenda in South Sudan. A cornerstone of these efforts has been our annual Women Peace Security Conference, which has consistently provided an individual platform for women from all corners of the country and previous walks of life to converge, share the experience, learn from one another, and strengthen the partnerships. This 5th conference, coinciding with the 25th anniversary of the Women Peace Security Agenda, holds particular significance as it makes the conclusion of our current project cycle and will be the final annual Women Peace Security Conference under this initiative. EVE and partners are immensely proud of the impact for this initiative. EVE and partners are immensely proud of the impact this conference have had in empowering women and fostering crucial dialogue. We hope that new opportunities or partners can pick up and continue to support this noble initiative. As the theme reads, Restoring Hope and Commitment for Action, the role of women in peace building in South Sudan. South Sudanese women has a role to play in peace building. We call on all women to stand up for peace, no more war. We call for forgiveness and reconciliation among our leaders and people. Today, we are, as women of South Sudan, participating in shaping the image of our country at all levels, with representation of women from different backgrounds, to tell ourselves that we are part of the sustainable development goals in South Sudan and beyond. However, this will not come to pass unless we work together as one family, connected and committed in giving our efforts to be strong and recognized in carrying our duties and providing services wherever we are found. As we deliberate during these 2 days, let us consolidate our demands for peace, strengthen our alliance and partnership, and call for funding for women to continue pursuing peace in South Sudan. I would like also to say that as a co-founder of EVE, it has been a small dream in the streets of Khartoum, where 8 young ladies came and thought of having EVE to work with women. And we are proud that today we are celebrating this, and we are having all of us here as women to work for our country. So can we give applause for those young women who have been there?
نعم، ودي كانت هناك غلوريا نيوكا، واحد من المؤسسين بتاع منظمة إيف أورجانيزيشن، اللي هم في كل سنة السنة الخامسة بينظموا مؤتمر أو المؤتمر طبعا ده عن النساء، السلام والأمن في البلاد، وهي كانت بتتكلم في زمن الافتتاح بتاع المؤتمر في جوبا امبارح. نمشي لفاصل وحنيجي نواصل.
In 2025, South Sudan is writing a new chapter in its economic story. Monthly revenue collections by the South Sudan Revenue Authority have reached an impressive 130 billion South Sudanese pounds. This success is powered by digitization, a nationwide e-government program launched in 2021 that modernized public services, strengthened data systems, and made revenue collection faster, safer, and more transparent. Today, corruption leakages are shrinking, efficiency is rising, and every digital transaction moves our nation closer to stability and shared prosperity. The South Sudan Revenue Authority calls on all government bodies, development partners, and citizens to accelerate the move toward full digitization. Together, through digital transformation and cooperation, South Sudan will move forward stronger, transparent, and united for progress. South Sudan Revenue Authority, digitizing revenue, driving development.
iRadio, for reliable and objective news from across South Sudan and beyond. Tune in to iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. iRadio, for news you can rely on from across South Sudan and beyond.
This is the Dawn Show on iRadio. Wake up, get information, get education, get everything that you need on iRadio.
Welcome back from the break. You're still listening to the Dawn program here on iRadio, and we're talking about the conference, or the National Conference on Women, Peace and Security, under the theme Restoring Hope and Commitment for Action, Advancing Women's Role in Peace Building. A while ago, we heard from a co-founder of EVE Organization, Gloria Nyoka, who's also the Executive Director of South Sudan National Bureau of Standards. Let's also listen to Duruba Judith, Program Manager at Steward or Safe World, and she was among the key participants in the conference.
And in our deep villages in South Sudan, peace starts when the sun rises in the morning. When women wake up at dawn, move very long distances with the whispers of the birds, not guns, and they feel safe and return back home. When they return back home with the little that they have, they fix something for their children. And then later they whisper a prayer that no gunshots will be heard today or nobody will die as a result of violence. And it is these very small acts that we celebrate the courage, the resilience, the strength of these particular women that we celebrate, because their voices are often not heard in the formal spaces. They have been sidelined in most of the spaces that exist, and nobody often recognizes their presence, yet they hold the nation together and our society in a place. Today, as we gather for the 5th annual conference on women, peace and security, it is also the Silver Jubilee that we are celebrating 25 years of the United Nations Security Council, when it was passed to acknowledge that women are not only victims of war, but they are also architects of peace in our society, because they play a very essential role. They rebuild when everyone have left. They feed our homes. And also when the men have gone to fight, they're the very people who are left in the houses to bring together the homes and our communities. Yet for many South Sudanese, this particular reality is very distant for us about the peace. Because conflict, climate change, instability have all made us today weaken the very gender provisions that are meant to protect and empower the women in our society. When you go to places like Tonj, Lukjang, Torit, Budi, Mayom, and most of our villages, women bear the brunt and the burden of war in our different communities at different levels. And despite all these challenges, women have remained resilient, women have remained strong, women have continued to stand within their communities, to never give up. I've seen women mediating conflicts across the borderlands between the Topos and the Turkana. I've seen women singing songs to stop cattle raiding in their communities. And when those voices are listened to, you start to see a sense of hope, and communities start to rebuild at that very moment. And these are not just stories of survival, but these are the very stories of strength that we have in our different communities. They remind us also that a peace is not only written in Juba, but they are written daily in our villages, by the men and the women, by our communities, by those who are in the market holding strongly the economy, but also in the families, because they say peace starts from within yourself. So if we are very peaceful in our families, that peace also extends to the outside world. This year's theme, Restoring Hope and Commitment for Action, basically challenges us all in this room, including the donors, the development partners, and everyone who has a role in our society, that we need to start moving beyond the dialogues into action and commitments to things in our society. It is also a time to ensure that women are not just invited to the tables for formality or just to add numbers, but they're invited as equal partners whose insights or views are reflected in the decision making of our country. And also it is a time to ensure that young women and girls inherit a country where peace is not just fragile, but it is firm and fair for them to live in. So as we reflect on the journey of the past 25 years, I just want to remind you that, in our villages, when we first wake up, it's the women who first wake up to go and fetch water. The women are the first people to also feed their families, their children. They're the ones who calm down the fears when the gunshots have gone quiet. and they are the first to rebuild when all seems lost. So peace will only be realized when their voices and also their hands are part of the making of that particular peace, or they guide the very peace that we are making in our society.
Yes, and we had the remarks of Doruba Judith, who's the program manager of Safer World. Now let's also listen to Mariam Suleiman, who spoke on behalf of UN Women.
As we mark the 25th anniversary of UNSCR 1325, South Sudan stands at the defining moment. We are entering a new phase of political transition, and this time it must be inclusive. Globally, peace agreements that include women are 35% more likely to endure. And women make up more than half of our population in South Sudan, which of course it makes sense that their participation should be more meaningful, especially in leadership and in peace processes. Unfortunately, their participation in leadership and peace processes remains below 26%, even though the peace agreement has guaranteed 35%. 80% of South Sudanese live in rural areas, and it is the women farmers, it is the traders and the caregivers who keep families and communities alive through crisis and recovery. Women are not just victims of beneficiaries in peace, they are agents of peace, they are architects of peace, and across the country, women have led about 60% of community dialogues, but unfortunately without recognition and often without resources. This tells us something, that when women are included, peace is not only achieved, it lasts. Young women are part of the youth, and yet they are often overlooked, even though they are among the main victims of conflict. We must make sure that their voices are heard and their participation is visible, because young women face double discrimination, both as women and as youth, and are often the most affected by conflict-related sexual violence. We must build stronger coalitions, and we must connect national leaders with grassroots networks to ensure that the voices from the grassroots is heard at the national level. We must move from isolated efforts to collective action that truly shapes our national agenda. Peace building should be designed with women and not for them. And women's leadership is not an addition to peace building, it is the foundation of peace building. As we look ahead, we need new ways of working and approaches that center localization, shared ownership, and accountability to ensure the resilience of communities through political turmoil. And above all, we must ensure that outcomes of this conference and past conferences do not only stay on paper, but translate into real programs, real budgets, and real results. If we are serious about peace in South Sudan, then every policy, every project, and every partnership must begin with the understanding that women are the foundation of peace in South Sudan. And we as UN Women affirm our commitment to advancing gender equality and women's empowerment and ensuring that women's meaningful participation in peace building and public life becomes a reality in South Sudan.
هذه كانت مريم سليمان تكلمت نيابة عن UN Women في المؤتمر لفترة يومين، بدأ امبارح وينتهي الليلة، وده الخامس، وده المؤتمر الخامس لجنوب السودان حول المرأة والنساء والأمن تحت شعار استعادة الأمل والالتزام بالعمل، تعزيز دور المرأة في بناء السلام. على الرغم من سنوات من الجهود، لسه وعد بتاع أجندة المرأة والسلام والأمن في جنوب السودان بعيد المنال إلى حد كبير، وأدى استمرار بتاع الصراع وعدم الاستقرار إلى تقويض الأحكام المتعلقة بالنوع الاجتماعي في اتفاقيات السلام، وزاد من حالات العنف القائمة على النوع الاجتماعي، واستمر في تحميش أصوات بتاع النساء في عمليات بتاع بناء السلام. وعشان كده بيجمع المؤتمر ده بيجي في السنة ده وبيصادف الذكرى 25 لقرار مجلس الأمن التابع للأمم المتحدة، وده قرار رقم 1325 عن قيادات نسائية وممثلات عن المجتمع المدني ومسؤولين حكوميين وشركاء دوليين للتأمل في التقدم المحرص ومعالجة التحديات المستمرة وتجديد الالتزامات بتعزيز قيادة المرأة في السلام والأمن. نمشي لفاصل ومنه حنيجي نسمع من سفير بتاع هولندا أو نيذرلاندز لدى جنوب السودان.
iRadio for reliable and objective news from across South Sudan and beyond. You are listening to iRadio, bringing you programs that offer you an in-depth look at the issues that affect you. iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
This is iRadio, your eye on South Sudan.
Welcome back from the break. Now we move on with our program where the ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands to South Sudan has called on lawmakers and government institutions to accelerate the adoption of the family bill and other equality-related legislation aimed at protecting and promoting the rights of women and girls in South Sudan. Ambassador Paul Tholen stressed that achieving gender equality begins with ensuring that equal rights for women and men are firmly embedded in law. He also noted that when legal frameworks uphold equality, institutions such as the police, judiciary, civil registry, land authorities, tax bodies and banks are all obligated to defend and promote women's rights. Ambassador Tholen further expressed concern over delays in passing the family bill over the 6 key equality related bills pending in Parliament and appeal to lawmakers to act swiftly to advance the rights of women and girls. He also called on the unity government, communities, civil society organizations and other committed players to continue to jointly focus on these crucial aspects. Let's listen to Ambassador.
It is with great honor that I speak to you at this year's annual Leaders' Conference under the theme Restoring Hope and Commitment for Action, Advancing Women's Role in Peace Building. This conference is different from all previous ones you have had before, because it comes exactly 25 years since the UN Security Council passed Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security. This resolution has recognized the unique impact of conflicts on women and girls around the globe, and for the first time required us to pay special attention to the needs of women and girls during conflicts and post-war reconstruction. The coming into existence of Resolution 1325 was pushed a great deal by the Netherlands, as my country was at the forefront of trying to get equal rights for women and men realized. Over the last 25 years, UN Resolution 1325 became a rallying point for global actors to champion women's protection, amplify their voices, and provide a platform for women from all walks of life to take up leadership roles and fight for their rights. But Resolution 1325 also unlocked a potential that the world had locked away for a long time. And that is the potential of women and girls who hold the real power to turn our world into a safer, peaceful, and prosperous society. When you sent me an invite for this conference, I was away on official duty travel, and I came back to a competing list of priorities. However, when I saw the invite, and more specifically its title, Advancing Women's Role in Peace Building, I immediately recognized that this conference and what it means for women and girls of this country. And hence, I rescheduled my agenda, or I asked to reschedule my agenda, and I'm here. Straight away, I must be here today. This is because for me as a person, but also for us as an embassy, women and girls empowerment is critical, and particularly in South Sudan. Ladies and gentlemen, despite 25 years of progressive action on women, peace and security, the theme of this conference reminded me of the need to never relent on the gains we have achieved. We all know that the battle is not yet won. And as we speak, thousands of South Sudanese women and girls are displaced by another wave of armed conflict in Western Equatoria, Upper Nile, and in many other locations across the country. The women and girls who fled war to neighboring countries cannot yet return safely to their homes, and for many of these women, their dreams have been shattered. It is the responsibility of each and every one of us to help restore those hopes, and therefore commit ourselves to action to ensure the ideals of UN Resolution 1325. This is our most important promise to women and girls of the world, and we must realize it. The Netherlands has been long a staunch supporter and advocate for women's rights and gender equality. Here in South Sudan, we have, among others, supported UN Women, firstly enhancing gender mainstreaming and integration of women and girls' rights and experiences in the institution of the pre-transitional and transitional periods, and secondly, pushing for a stronger security sector that prioritizes and promotes the protection of women and girls' rights. At the same time, we have supported UNDP on access to justice, in which a sizable component was focused on handling gender-based violence cases. What we have learned from these programs is that at the start, equal rights for women and men should be firmly embedded in law. In that way, the police, the judiciary, the civil registry, the land titling department, the tax revenue service, and the banks and other institutions all have an obligation to argue in favor of women's rights. This is all most relevant for handling gender-based violence cases, guaranteeing inheritance for women, the right to own land, the right to divorce, the right to decide about their own body, their sexual and reproductive health rights, and having the right to vote, and all other types of rights that will enable women and girls to have the same opportunity as men and boys. In the Netherlands, the situation some decades ago wasn't very different, you know. As I recall from personal experience, 40 years ago, my newlywed wife was initially refused by the civil registry to keep her own family name, although there was no legal basis to do so. She insisted on the right to keep her own name, and it went all up to the governor, and she won her case. And I think this is an example that we have been going through a very similar process of trying to re-establish the equality of rights. Advocacy, awareness, creation, and full, meaningful participation of both men and women is crucial in the lawmaking process. And as yet, equal rights for women and men are not accomplished, not in South Sudan and not worldwide. In fact, globally, we are sliding backwards. And as for us in the Netherlands, I have to admit that we have never had a female prime minister yet, and neither a female chief of defense forces. And those are just examples. As we take stock of progress over the last 25 years, we face stark realities. The world is changing and changing fast. The funds that helped us fast-track actions under Resolution 1325 are dwindling, and wars are ravaging in many parts of the world. Ukraine, Gaza, Sudan, and increasingly also South Sudan, I have to admit. Amidst all these challenges, the real champions of women's empowerment stand tall, and these are you, the women. I would like to call upon my colleagues in the development arena and the government of South Sudan to spare no effort to strengthen the capacity to champion the global cause for women. Because with you, the voices of girls and women will never be lost. Equal rights needs constant work and vigilance. And let me mention in this context the adoption of the Family Bill as one of the 6 bills, all equality related, that are being delayed in being adopted in Parliament. Let us hope that lawmakers in Parliament will act soon. May the government communities, civil society organizations and other committed players continue to jointly focus on these crucial aspects. And then, on a more positive note, as I have learned, the Netherlands and South Sudanese movement on women and girls' rights have another thing in common. The color orange, for example, the 16 days of activism. And that color implies a new focus area in equal rights for women and men, a very positive one, where, for instance, South Sudanese women are leading. As I understand, that's football. One of my staff told me the women are actually doing much better than men in football in South Sudan. Let that be a case in point for you ladies. This was a man who has noticed it. May more women realize that sports are another way of gaining equal rights, and for men to understand that.
نعم، وده كان هناك بول طولن السفير بتاع هولندا لدى جنوب السودان، وهو طبعا هناك بنادي المشرعين والمؤسسات الحكومية إلى تسريع اعتماد مشروع قانون الأسرة وغيره من التشريعات المتعلقة بالمساواة واللي بتهدف إلى حماية وتعزيز حقوق النساء والفتيات في البلاد. وأكد الدبلوماسي أنه تحقيق المساواة بين الجنسين بيبدأ بضمان ترسيخ الحقوق المتساوية للنساء والرجال في القانون. ماذا عن رأيك أنت أسمينا من عدد من النساء وكمان من سفير بتاع هولندا في موضوع بتاع المساواة بين الجنسين، وكمان برضو ده كان كله في مؤتمر اللي كان حصل امبارح وحينتهي الليلة للنساء في المجال بتاع أو المؤتمر اللي بينظر للنساء الأمن والسلام في البلاد. اتصل وقدم رسالة بتاعك على راديو. يس سليمان اتفضل.
يا موضوع شيء فتعرف يا أكيلة، مرأة جنوبية مرأة حديثية، من المفترض يكون في مساواة بين الرجال والفئة النسائي، لأنه ما ترجع بيناتنا بالمناسبة دي. فالنسوان بتاعنا تعبوا أول حاجة في أوقات النضال، وهم من أكثر نسوان التعبوا على مستوى العالم كله، كويس؟ وهم كمان يعني شارك في استقلال بتاعنا. وانت لو شفت ذلك يا أكيد عدد سكان بتاعنا زاد في جنوب السودان أكثر من كل النساء. شفت كيف؟ معناهم كان بيكون عندهم يعني كيك الأكبر من الرجال. فالكلام بتاع المساواة ده جدا، لابد أن يكون هنالك مساواة بين المرأة والرجل، سواء كانت في المكاتب الحكومية، سواء كانت في المنظمات، سواء كانت في الشركات. لكن أنا شايف في ظلم للنسوان بتاعنا، حتى 35% هم ما قاعدين يمثلين زي ما مكتوب في الدستور بتاعنا. هسه كده شوف على مسابقة الحكومة إننا كم مرة في 10 ولايات بتختص السودان، كم مرة ممثل في ولايات، كان مرة واحدة كانت هو سارة شالو بارا جابورا. المكاتبات في كم نسوان ممثلين في الحكومة، في قيامات في كم ما في. شفت كيف؟ معناه هنا الحكومة ذاته قاعد يقول في كلامه ده على ورق بس، لكن تنفيذه على أرض الواقع ما في.
اوكي.
فمن هنا أنا أقدر نرسل رسالة تليكم في مساواة بين الرجل والمرأة، لأنه التنمية بتبدأ تحقيقنا كلنا بننمي بلد كان نسوان والرجال. شكرا.
شكرا. رسالتك واصل. اي راديو.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Magok.
My brother, when we talk about the issue of equality, I would like to appreciate the women for waking up from sleeping, because they were sleeping too much until they were just waiting to be given. But rights are not given, they are claimed. So if they want equality in this country, first of all, let them talk about peace. For the peace to be implemented, for the peace to be available in the country, after that, they claim the right. Because we know the policy of the women. They need peaceful politics, and they don't want violent politics. And if they want this leadership to take over, they should have first of all campaign for the peace in the country. Number two, let them try to believe into themselves so that they develop themselves to come up to the politics. Because many of them now, they are in politics and they are not interested to develop others. So, and if you don't believe into yourself, whom do you think should believe in you? This is the first thing that you should have to talk. Number three, the women who are in civil society are the very strongest group. And those now who are in politics, they don't want to bring others who are strong. So what we want, we need equality for both. To be strong in politics and government and to be strong in civil society. This is where they will get the right. But if the strongest one, they remain in civil society and they don't want to come to the government, so they will still claim for the percentages and they will not get it. So no any man who can say that the women should not be involved in politics. Because gender is an organ side, but brain is the same for all. People are created by God, and nobody can say that they will be behind. Even the English say that a strong man have a strong woman behind him is going to be changed, so that you can say that a strong man must have a strong woman beside him. This is the correct equality that we want. So our women will have in a correct way, in a peaceful manner, not to push your man to make violence, but to bring peace in the country. Thank you.
All right, thank you. A strong woman should also have a strong man besides her, vice versa. I radio.
Hello, I radio.
نعم.
هاي صباح الخير.
صباح النور.
هاي معك جيمس في جوبا.
جيمس تفضل.
أنا إيمانويل هو حقيقة مرة ورجل. أنا أكيد ما في فرق بين مرة ورجل. لازم يكون في مساواة بين رجل ومرأة، أم في ناحية القانون ولا في ناحية أي مؤسسات البي. لكن مرة أنا دير نقول لك إيمانويل كلام البوليس وكالفيز ناس ما بينفع، لكن مرة النسوان ذاته هم ذاته يا سبب لنفسهم. لأنه تلقى دل الأسف بقوموا بمثل النسوان دي ذاته مو ذاته ما بيعرف تابع النسوان تنين الورا هناك كان في الكرة ولا بيعرف ما كانوا ما بيعرف بيت بجالي جوزر بونس في ميديا بونس كلانتا النسوان، لكن أسا كانوا برا underground هناك فان باين وتابع يقواتهم ده مو ذاته ما قاعدين عين وكلام ده، لكن أسرو منيندو حق كان في قانون كان في شنو منيندو حق ما منيندو إثنين إيدان da itnin kura indu itnin ana zai rajil indo asan kida min hakiya to mun lazim bi maraso ai activities algurwa lakin mun be nefsa to mun zato lano kan da gilgo lisa ma dakal be mahalla o be claim lakin after that when I was there o magi claim karam de o gibiga gidugu naim maradu mun zato sabab le nabuzum shukran.
شكرا لمشاركتك برضه. راديو.
الو ايمانويل اكيلي.
نعم.
ما جدو
تفضل.
ايمانويل اكيلي والله يا اخينا في الانصاف المستمعين ولا المتصلين قالوا يا ايمانويل اكيلي، لكن انا ايمانويل اكيلي في الانصاف لانه الجنسيين برضه كله ايمانويل اكيلي عندهم مشاكل والله، لكن النسبه بتاعت 95% ده مثلا تعبانات شديد زي ما قال هسه برادر المرأة هسه من المكالمه. في الاساس هو هذا كان في مسؤولين لكن ما بطلوا مسؤوليات ما بطلوا برا في الولايات القرى برا عشان يمشي يشوفوا المشاكل بتاعت امهاتنا واخواتنا في الارياف برا. شفت كلام ده كيف؟ وبعض مرات ذات ايمان الوسيله نحن ذات بعض مرات اخواتنا ذات بعض مرات ما بسمعوا كلام كله. شفت كلام ده كيف؟ انت مهما كان تقول له كلام بالديفينيشن هي تمشي قدام او تتواصل هذا ما في كله.
معلش جدو فقدناك في الخط، رجع تاني لنا. راديو.
يا Emmanuel Joseph Akile.
نعم.
Yeah, you are talking to someone my own once again in Jeddah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to congratulate the Kingdom of Netherlands for issuing the conference of women. Yeah, women they have right, Mr. Emmanuel Joseph Akile, for their leadership as they are speaking on the radio station for the interview which have been done to them. What I want to say from that, women they have equal right to be given their percent, so that they should be known that women they are equal right people. Another thing, women they are also contributing a lot of opinions. Though people are not saying it, women they also have opinions, so that they can do anything to the country as a whole. So these are small things I have, but women should be put into the part of our discussion and also our part of anything we want to issue out as me. Thank you.
alright, thank you ما يوم برضو بيضيف صوت بتاعه هناك. ما زال انك انت واحنا بنشجع كمان النساء والبنات او السيدات انه هم برضو يشاركوا ويتصلوا علينا عشان نسمع منهم. راديو.
صباح الخير.
صباح النور.
خاطرة ما في مرة ثانية.
خاطرة أساسا أنا بشجع قلت البنات يتصلوا وأنت اتصلت. تفضل.
يا أخي الرجال ده ما بيهونا يا أخي كات مشكور بس مين وين. الحمد لله ربنا. أسوأ هذا بيمثل باقي ده كله. برنامج جميل جدا فعلا. بجد أنا بشكر البرنامج بجد فعلا المساواة ده حاجة مهم جدا يعني سواء بين المرأة والراجل في أي حاجة. مثال عندما مسارة كلته كان في واو زمان كان ماسك واو حاكمة بتاع واو بجد يعني ما مسارة ما قصرت يعني عمل إنجازات كتير في الولاية وكل زول شاهد على ذلك. أنا بتمنى يعني كده لو في حكام برضو كده إن كنتوا نسوان برضو عشان برضو يشوفوا ده بتاعت نسوان بكون كيف. وحاجة تاني ماشي لأمهاتنا في الحكومة والقادات المسؤولين، أنا بتمنى يعني كده برضو ولايات الفي ومناطق الإدارية وتلقى في محلات يعني أصوات ما بوصل للنسوان الحناك، في نسوان يمكن ما بيسمعوا إذاعة والتليفونات ذاته ما في وكده يعني. هم برضو يقوموا بدور حقهم، يمشوا لهم في محل لهم فيه يسمعوا رأي حقهم برضو شنو حاجة لهم المطالبين شنو، لأنهم أكيد قاعدين هناك ما عارفين الحاصل شنو، ما في إذاعة ما في راديو ما في حاجة كده يعني. لازم نحن نشجع بعضنا مع بعض زي ما الرجال بيقولوا نحن ما قاعد نشجع بعض يعني كده، نحن النسوان نشجع بعضنا نرفع بعضنا لقدام يعني، ما نكون اللي ورا دائما يعني. أنا بتمنى يعني النسوان ويا وألف مي ويا. شكرا.
شكرا جزيلا خاطرة للمشاركة بتاعك. وإذا زي اي راديو برضو لو بيلقى دعم أو مساعدة بيقدر يصل في الريموت ارياس أو في القرى، وعشان برضو الناس يقدروا يفهموا أو يقدروا يعرفوا شنو الحاصل ويقدموا آراء بتاعهم برضو. اي راديو.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello, I radio.
Yes, I radio.
Okay. معك أبو في مدينة ويل.
نعم اتفضل.
أنا بشكر في. ألو.
واصل.
ألو.
نعم أنا سامعك واصل. alright معليش يبدو إنه الشبكة بتاعك هناك قاعد ينقطع. عندنا حوالي 5 دقائق لرأس الساعة، نرفع مكالمتين قبل ما احنا نختم. اتصل علينا وقدم رسالة بتاعك في موضوع بتاعت المساواة بين الجنسين. راديو.
صباح الخير.
صباح النور.
جابرييل من أول.
جابرييل اتفضل.
برنامج ده برنامج جدا شيق، وأنا شكرا للجوان كان نشيد لكم كان نمشي قدام كوز دارين ناقاوين دار كان نمشي مع راجل معملو مرة معملو تقال راجلات كان يكون كبير منك كويت كبير ذاته يمكن خصوصا عشان أنا شنو شاريت شيء شاريت فلسفة whether the man do. That is I want to say to the woman.
Alright, thank you very much. ده رسالة بتاعه للنساء. نرفع المكالمة على 11 أو 22 986 راديو. أنا منو؟
معك
سعيد اتفضل. نعم صباح النور لك.
وأنا من ناحية المتصلين والمسلمين علينا جماعة في جنوب السودان علينا ما نجيب كلام بتاع جيز أفريقيا ولا كلام بتاع بلدوانا.
نعم واصل. alright فقدناك في الخط. ده ما في كلام بتاع إيست أفريقيا ولا كلام بتاع باقي دول قاعد نتكلم فيه، بنتكلم في موضوع بتاع المساواة بين الجنسين، وده هنا في البلاد، والنداء بيمشي لاحترام أو تصديق على القوانين اللي بيأكد حقوق بتاع المرأة. ده هو الحاجات اللي سمعناه من السفير بتاع هولندا أو النيذرلاندز في جنوب السودان. اي راديو.
الو يا اي راديو.
نعم
أنا جوني ثاني يا رجال.
تفضل.
أنا يا إيمانويل حقيقة كان بودي قال ذاته نسب البودي كان في برلمان، وده كان بودي في أي مكان ده مفروض مرة عنده حق ذاته صار يوديه 60 لأنه الأسباب، لأنه زول المسؤول في بيت ولا في أسر بتاعنا ولا الجنة ذاته فينا ده أول زول ما بتاعنا ده، لكن طبعا زي كده لنا كده قال مرات هو إخوات بتاعنا مرات تبدأ هو بيكلم نجوا برا، lakini kano biga jua na ya Emmanuel ko biga gine sutu Equatorial, lakini mara uraje lukumo nindu musawa sawa kulu ai haja, lakini kanta giligo kumula alkakir rezaro ita giligo mara ya gishiru kumula de, yani ta alela raje lita gine haja tani ta kunzol musai saita rasalbet, lakini almara huo ya musutu dede luasa ta kama ndu mara dede ya Emmanuel mabe nade gale deta kideke nade gale eta ke kainga ndabiga indu mara kenunga libeta tideke ma yar tidake asangira de bori mana mara o muhim asangira anna kaman beri noti muhima de mara toro shiru muhima to de malian kurato ukano geder kele ngare kalande ma benzi ana kiraje ma ba benkelim la lazim la rajul bias ma kalande asangira na geri nusan betana ulmun kun ko kamuna ino hajar ga asar di muktama mun indu hak danu kama wo ma kan muktama de gai
All right, shukran jazilan limusharakataki. And thank you all for your contributions. We'll leave it there for today. We've come to the end of the Dawn edition. Join us again on Monday at the same time to get the latest on what's happening in South Sudan and beyond the borders. Up next, news in Arabic. On behalf of the Dawn team, Geoffrey Amanya, Darlington Moses, and producer Diko Di Andrew, this has been Emmanuel Joseph Akile. Do have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay blessed. We'll meet again on Monday.